Every time an archaeologist discovers something, he begins a story that may never end. The end of the story would come with a full understanding of the discovery. Although that is not always possible, the same applies to scientists' enigmatic discoveries. Watch this video and try to unravel the mysteries of these intriguing discoveries. Number 1. Sometimes treasure just falls from the sky. The Fukong meteorite looked like any other piece of space rock, but in 2000 it revealed a shimmering honeycomb-like internal structure not found on Earth. The translucent crystals are made of olivine and are arranged in a network. When it landed in the Gobi Desert in China, however, when it was discovered and cut down, it became a lucrative business. When the sun shines through the sliced layers of rock, it gives the impression of looking through a glass window. It would have been nice if the people who found it hadn't kept it in one piece. But it has been cut into pieces and sold bit by bit to the highest bidder. The largest piece, weighing just under 1,000 pounds, was auctioned for $2 million in New York City in 2008. If that's over your budget, you can buy plenty of smaller pieces of the rock online for $50 per gram. The meteorite belongs to the pallasite class, which makes up only 1% of all meteorites that fall to Earth. But this one is by far the most beautiful. Number 2. There's a set of ancient ruins called Bai in Bacali, Italy, which are a rich hunting ground for archaeologists. This place was once a pleasure palace for the richest people in Rome. But the biggest mystery at the site is not something the super-rich Romans left behind, but the fig tree that is growing in its ruins. Fig trees are not uncommon in this part of the world, but this one is not like all the others. It is growing in reverse and seems to exist only to defy the laws of gravity. The roots of the tree are in the roof of the arch from which it grows, which is rumored to have been part of a villa belonging to Emperor Nero, the most hedonistic Roman of all. Scientists have never been able to figure out how the tree ended up on the roof or how it managed to survive against all odds without an obvious food source. However, every year the tree bears figs. Some scientists are concerned that the tree's growth is damaging the crumbling arch, but so far there has been no serious discussion about removing it. Number 3. Our ancestors had various funeral traditions that reflected their beliefs and social status. For example, in ancient Egypt, nobles were honored with elaborate tombs and sarcophagi, while peasants often received a simpler burial. In China, during the 1st century BC, those with great wealth could be buried in jade funerary robes, woven with gold and silver threads, thus showing their status even in death. These costumes, discovered by archaeologists in 1968, belonged to Prince Liang and Princess Dawen of the Han Dynasty. Their creation required years of work by skilled craftsmen, although jade, being a porous material, did not preserve the remains well within it. The suits. Number 4. Also known as Sheikh el-Belad, he was a scribe in Egypt during the time of the 4th and 5th dynasties, approximately 4,500 years ago. He would not be considered a particularly significant scribe if it were not for the exceptionally realistic statue of him, which is the best preserved ancient wooden statue in the world. We don't know much about Sheikh el-Belad's life, other than that he was a reader priest and also a scribe in the king's army. We don't even know what being a scribe in the king's army really entailed. Because of that, we will never know what he did to deserve such a fine statue when every other man of his rank had to make do with a fairly basic tomb. The tomb of Sheikh el-Belad was found in the Zahra necropolis by Auguste Mariette in the 19th century. The nickname Sheikh el-Belad, meaning chief of the people, comes from the Egyptian excavators who worked for Mariette. They thought the statue was identical to the old man from the town where they came from. The statue of Sheikh el-Belad, which is made of sycamore wood and depicts the scribe walking with the help of a staff, is now in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. Number 5. Hunger stones are a curious European invention that tend to be created only in times of trouble, and tend to appear only in times of trouble as well. The most notable to have recently come to light was found in the Czech Republic on the banks of the Elva River in late 2018. Water levels in the river were unusually low that year, and revealed a message believed to have been carved into the stone by an innkeeper named FRM in 1904. The message is simple and reads, "If you can read me, cry." The implication is that if the river water has fallen to a level so low that the message can be read, a drought is inevitable. There was a terrible drought in 1904 in Prague. Fortunately, that of 2018 was not as pronounced. There were more businesses dependent on the river in the early 20th century, so when it dried up, so did their income. Modern Prague is better able to withstand such an event. All hunger stones serve the same basic purpose, and the oldest known example is in Din, which is also in the Czech Republic. It dates back to 1417, but no one knows who wrote it. Number 6. A visit to the White Sahara Desert in Egypt could be the closest thing to walking on the surface of an alien planet. There's something eerie about exploring the terrain here, where thousands of years of exposure to the elements have battered and molded the rock into strange shapes. It is a place where your eyes can easily play tricks on you, as some people believe the stones have been carved to look like animals, while others see human faces or silhouettes. In fact, scientists believe that none of the stones and rocks here have been carved or formed by human hands. But there are many people who disagree with that statement. To truly appreciate the full beauty of the White Desert, your best bet is to book an overnight camping trip and watch as the setting sun brings color and shade to the landscape, creating new shapes in the process. It's amazing to think that this is only a few hours away from the center of Cairo. Number 7. The London Hammer, also known as the London Artifact, is one of the most mysterious discoveries of the 20th century, or should I say, the most debated. Discovered in London, Texas, in 1936 by Max Hahn and a companion, the hammer was found embedded in ancient rock, leading to speculation about its age and origin. The hammer is an iron tool with a wooden handle and measures about 6 inches long with a diameter of 1 inch. Its size and shape suggest that it was used for fine work or with soft metals. The discovered hammer, despite not rusting, has parts of the handle that have turned into carbon, indicating a possible age. Carl Ball, who acquired it in the 1980s, suggested it was evidence of a pre-flood civilization, challenging conventional theories. However, this idea is controversial and is not scientifically accepted. Skeptics propose that the hammer became trapped in a limestone formation naturally. Although there are various explanations, some see the London hammer as evidence of time travel or advanced knowledge in the past. Number 8. In 1961, Wallace Lane, Virginia Maxey, and Mike Michaelsell made an intriguing discovery near a boat in California. This was no ordinary spark plug, but one that seemed to come from a time when spark plugs did not yet exist. This object was later known as the Koso Artifact. It was initially speculated to be a misplaced object, possibly indicating the presence of an ancient advanced civilization or other extraordinary explanations. Like the London hammer, Koso's artifact was encased in what appeared to be a 500,000-year-old natural formation. It became unusual immediately. The apparent age of Koso's artifact suggested that it might be a misplaced object. Finding a modern spark plug in a seemingly ancient geological formation led to speculation about time travel, ancient advanced civilizations, or extraterrestrial interventions. Although the surrounding material was initially thought to be a geode that takes a long time to form, many believe that Koso's artifact, like the London hammer, is probably a hoax. Despite doubts, it remains one of the most intriguing discoveries of the contemporary era. Number 9. This ancient city is known as Petra, an ancient settlement carved into the rose-red cliffs of southern Jordan. The history of Petra began long before its modern discovery, as it was possibly established in the early 4th century BC as the capital of the Nabatean kingdom. However, over time, its importance diminished and it was eventually abandoned and forgotten, remaining only in the memory of the local Bedouin tribes. Fast forward to 1812, a crucial year in Petra's history. A Swiss explorer named Johann Ludwig Burckhardt, fascinated by stories of a lost city in the desert, set out to rediscover Petra, posing as an Arab scholar. Burckhardt, with the help of Bedouins, discovered Petra, a city carved into cliffs with tombs, temples and the famous treasury. He highlights Nabatean craftsmanship and the aqueduct system that supported the city in an arid region. Petra reveals Nabatean culture, important historical civilization and crucial commercial center. The rediscovery of Petra renewed interest in archaeology and ancient history, remembering forgotten cities and civilizations with fascinating stories of human journey through time. Number 10. The Nazca Lines, a series of large ancient geoglyphs in the Nazca Desert in southern Peru, represent one of the most enigmatic and fascinating archaeological discoveries on our planet. In fact, you may recognize them as one of the most popular and mysterious places on Earth. The history of the Nazca Lines begins with their creation, which is estimated to have occurred around 500 BC to 500 AD for the Nazca people. These designs range from simple lines and geometric shapes to intricate representations of animals, plants, and imaginary beings. However, for centuries, these lines went largely unnoticed due to their enormous scale and remote location. The Nazca Lines, formed by massive figures of birds, were hidden until commercial pilots sighted them in the 20th century. In the 1940s, an American historian revealed its magnitude and astronomical, religious or ritual precision. Although their purpose remains speculative, their preservation in the Nazca Desert for thousands of years adds intrigue and mystery to these geoglyphs. Number 11. In Mosul, Iraq, where scientists recently discovered a kingdom buried under a dam. Due to the drought that affected southern Iraq, a group of Kurdish and German archaeologists managed to resume excavations of an ancient city in Kemyon that had been submerged by the waters of the Mosul Dam reservoir. The find included a palace and several large buildings, and the researchers were able to reconstruct the city plan in a relatively short period of time. The team worked in a race against time, not knowing when the reservoir's waters would rise again. They discovered 5 ceramic vessels containing an archive of more than 100 cuneiform tablets dating to the Middle Assyrian period. Archaeologists also discovered rare red and blue wall paintings, leading to the belief that they were a common feature in palaces of the period. Additionally, several other large buildings were discovered in the sprawling city complex, including a massive fortification with a wall and towers, a multi-story monumental warehouse, and an industrial complex. But the kingdom came to an end under King Tushratta, during whose reign the Hittites destroyed their capital, Wasakani. Clay tablets have been found in modern paper-like envelopes that were used to enclose cuneiform tablets in the 2nd millennium BC. Researchers believe the cuneiform text belonged to a private archive in Middle Assyria and hope the discovery will provide important information about the history of the region. The excavated buildings were covered with plastic and gravel to protect the ruins, which are now flooded. Any other items hidden in the ruins must wait to be discovered later. The ancient city of Hydra in Saudi Arabia looks like Petra and may contain secrets of an ancient civilization. Number 12. In the spring of 2020, a very rare piece of an embryonic planet was found in a remote part of the Sahara Desert. What was so surprising about this discovery? This object was there even before the Earth was born. It's hard to imagine what the solar system looked like back then, but this meteorite is giving us some answers. Named ERG Check 002 or EC002, the meteorite was said to be made in the crust of an ancient protoplanet. If you've never heard of this before, a protoplanet is a small celestial body that acts as a building block for planets. And if you're wondering what this meteorite was called, we have an answer for that too. The EC-002 was named after the place where it landed, in the Erg Chek Dunes Sea in Algeria. When it was studied, scientists concluded that it was composed of several meteorites and weighed around 32 kilograms. A group of scientists found beautiful crystals and rocks that came from another planet due to erosion on Earth. The volcanic rock is the oldest lava ever found on Earth. Scientists want to learn about how the planets and crusts formed in the early days of the solar system. The team of scientists led by Jean-Alex Barrett studied the rock and found that it was unlike anything they had seen before. They knew about the age of the meteorite from another research project and were interested in learning about its origin. They also discovered that the meteorite had some wear and tear and were able to determine when the protoplanet's crust solidified after the molten lava. Meteorite EC-002 is around 4.566 million years old, making it the oldest igneous rock found on Earth. It is 1.24 million years older than the next oldest igneous meteorite, NWA 1119. Additionally, its composition is unusual, being 58% silicon dioxide, indicating that its parent body had a crust made of andesite rock rather than the more common basalt. This suggests that the rock originated elsewhere. Scientists believe that andesitic crusts were common on early asteroids and protoplanets, but became extremely rare as billions of years passed due to incorporation into larger bodies or collisions with other rocks. Additionally, EC-002 is unique because no objects with similar characteristics have been found in the asteroid belt. Researchers believe that rock EC-002 was ejected from its parent body by a similar encounter shortly after the protoplanet's crust cooled and crystallized. This discovery has provided new details about the embryos of planets evolving before the existence of Earth. Ongoing studies on EC-002 will help scientists learn more about the composition of magma during a protoplanet's early activity, which in turn will allow them to deduce a lot about the formation of the crust. Number 13. Scientists found features beneath the surface of the Sahara Desert using radar because of how dry Egypt is. Canals were found buried 15 meters below the surface, and the Kasiba Oasis is located on this ancient waterway. The 250,000-year-old water is 2 to 3 meters below the surface and is still used for agriculture. Scientists found fossil fish and Paleolithic settlements that coincide with a lake of around 109,000 square kilometers. They discovered that the Sahara Desert was a vast rainforest just 6,000 years ago. The Sahara Desert became one of the driest areas on Earth due to sudden changes in weather patterns. Two researchers, Robert Corte and William Bowes, studied how it rained during the Holocene period and compared it to another area with heavy tropical rainfall. They found links to the way it rained thousands of years ago, but can't figure out how the tropical rain belt moved so far north of the equator. Overgrazing and excessive deforestation by farmers also contributed to dryness in the area. Scientists also found evidence of prehistoric animals in the region, such as the world's largest marine crocodile called Macromosaurus rex, which measured more than 9 meters long and weighed around 3 tons. Studying climate changes in the Sahara can provide answers for the future and help deduce how the climate will change in other parts of the world. The study's author, Federico Fenti, found fossils of a massive crocodile in Tunisia. The fossils were found by Fenti and his team with the help of the National Geographic Society Research and Exploration Committee. The crocodile's skull was buried deeply, but the rest of the body was there, making it a perfect treasure for people who want to study the past. Researchers found fish and turtle bones in the same area, suggesting it was probably a lagoon facing the ocean. Fenti believes that the Mrex, as the newly discovered crocodile is called, was capable of hunting in water and was probably a predator that waited to ambush its prey. Studies showed that the animal had a very strong bite that allowed it to crush its food, even something as hard as turtles. This discovery challenges what we thought we knew about our history, as the group of crocodiles to which Mrex belonged was thought to have become extinct about 150 million years ago, but this crocodile lived about 130 million years ago. This suggests that there was a large global extinction between the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods that killed many marine reptiles, but this group of animals apparently did not become extinct.